Podcast. Welcome to the rollout. I'm Linsay Rousseau.
And I'm Genevieve Marie. Hello and welcome. Today's episode is very interesting.
We have two of our favorite guests back, which is super exciting. We have Morgana, Ignis, and Tyler McPhail. We're so excited to have you guys back.
And today we're going to be talking about trash that we love.
Trash that we love.
And that we're going to have to defend why we love it and what it is and why we love it.
Right. And we're opening like film, televisions, you know, we're leaving it open.
Film, TV, music, comic books, anything.
You must defend it. So, you know, it's those guilty pleasures that we have. And, you know, we like to think that we're in the industry. We have refined tastes, but sometimes we just want trash. Not to be confused with garbage, which Morgana and I apparently both love garbage.
There's nothing garbage about garbage.
No, there's nothing garbage about garbage. They're amazing.
Except the price for tickets to go see them at the Hollywood Bowl with Alanis Morissette next week.
That is rubbish, is what that is. That is rubbish.
Absolute rubbish.
Fun fact, I saw Alanis Morissette in the early 90s, and I went to go see her only because Radiohead was opening for them.
What a
fun fact.
Concert.
Right? Interesting.
I do have a garbage connection though.
Do you?
For things that are ultimate cringe, but I still love it. So Garbage actually did a Bond song for The World Is Not Enough.
They did. I have that song on my iPod right now.
I just have to say, like, the Pierce Brosnan James Bonds were just so goofy. They were in such a weird realm that, like, it was trying to be self-aware and yet still trying to be serious at the same time, and may or may not have failed at both, but I still love them. I can't really pinpoint what.
I mean, I think they were really just trying to sell the fact that everyone thought Pierce Brosnan was hot, and that was enough.
I think he's way better looking now than he was back then.
I can agree with that.
The silver hair for sure.
Yeah.
Fine wine.
The thing for me is that, like, before watching any of the James Bond 007 films, I was a child with GoldenEye 007 for Nintendo 64. So as far as I was concerned, Pierce Brosnan was the only James Bond that mattered because I had fucking GoldenEye 64, the best fucking first-person shooter a child could have at that time. So, you know, when I unlocked all the characters and saw the other James Bonds, like, who the hell are these guys? Screw this. It's like, there's one Bond.
There's one Bond. Either you play as Pierce Brosnan or the big-headed. Exactly. Either you play as the Pierce Brosnan or the giant head, and that's it.
Of Pierce Brosnan.
That's all you get.
I was so disappointed when I finally saw GoldenEye and discovered that Pierce Brosnan did not have an enormous head. Or at least a very undersized head in comparison to what I was used to.
Yeah, his hair was quite big, though. He still had some luscious hair.
Yeah, that didn't pay off because it didn't meet expectations.
We need
that
DK
garbage
mode.
Song, though, was excellent. It was very good. It was a bop.
Oh my gosh. Anywho, okay. So are we, I mean, is that what you're is James Bond like your guilty trashy pleasure? Or
mean, so that's the thing, is like, you have to ask yourself, which Bonds are we talking about? Like, specifically actor and film, because I mean, we've got a span of over 20 years of Bond. 20 films of Bond happening, and so you got to imagine that, like, there are some winners in there, you know, there's some front runners, and then there's some that just really have fallen behind the pack. Moonraker definitely stands out to me as something that is a fucking excellent. I love it just because it is so out there and so weird. And it was informed by so many historical, but also things that were happening in film at the time. So, I mean, you had Star Trek, you had Star Wars, you had all of the, you know, space was the big thing. Also the space race, big thing. Yeah. So you had all of these things culminating in the need to, because Bond always tried to be a bit sci-fi too, where it was the technology and stuff was always ahead of the curve. Everything Bond had was like the newest, the latest and greatest gadgets and cars and suits and all of that. And so Moonraker was just the perfect sort of storm of weird history meeting weird films, meeting a time where people were wearing mini skirts and trying out very strange fashions that were like lame and silver lame and like short skirts and pleathers and weird shit, and it just turned into Moonraker, which is, it'll never happen again. That film, James
there's
Bond
a lot of films that will never happen again.
James Bond in space will never happen again, and I am so grateful that we got it. Just because of the fact that you think about pitching that movie now. Right. Like think about like going up to the Broccoli family and being like, so we think Daniel Craig would be excellent if we put him in space, you know?
I think so many franchises had their wonderfully amazing garbage moment in which they decided we're going to take this franchise into space.
Everything's better in space.
Yeah, well, one of my favorite horror films of all time, which is just ultimate in garbage, is Jason X, where it takes place in the future, and Jason Voorhees is reanimated in a spaceship as like a cybernetic, metallic, like 3D printed serial killer.
And that knife.
Well, I mean,
with a badass sci-fi knife.
You have to imagine that was probably also informed by Alien, you know, like there are things, these things happen for a reason. They're informed by history and trends.
Yeah, the zeitgeist. Yeah. Okay, so Morgana, so that is your trashy pick. So why do you love it?
Oh, I mean, that is not the trashy pick.
That's not the trashy pick.
Okay. I'm just pointing out that like many.
It's one of
many franchises.
Yeah.
So many franchises when they run out of things to do will eventually make a garbage film in which they send their character to space.
Hey, I mean, the Muppets went to space. So
the Muppets went to space. Well, it just became like such a joke. Like, you know how, you know, X, Y, or Z thing on ice was a huge joke in the 90s because they were putting everything went on ice. Well, it's kind of the same thing as like in space. You know, that's still a joke that we say. Like the on ice thing, we don't say that joke anymore, but in space is still something that lands with
people. That like the new in bed now? Is that what we're gonna do? Like, you know, something in bed. Now it's just something in space.
I feel like something in space was a trend like maybe 10, 15 years ago. I mean, I feel like, and that's where a bunch of films did it, where it's like so many things just decided to have a sci-fi film in their franchise of like blank in space. But they're like always fun because they're always weird ass sci-fi films.
What were you saying, Tyler?
I feel like Elon Musk kind of killed it when he just in his car into space. Everyone's like, "Oh, space isn't cool anymore."
He's ruined space.
Imagine having so much power in your capitalism that you manage to make space uncool.
Yeah.
Like that has been the mind-blowing thing that both like all the billionaires got together recently and decided to have one goal in mind for humanity, and that is to make space lame.
You know what? And you know the aliens are just and the aliens are just circling the planet going like, man, we should really go here. And then Elon Musk's car goes by and they're like, you know what? Pass. Hard pass. Let's go to this other galaxy. I bet they're a lot cooler there.
Between that and the fact that we now in the country have a space force, which would have been.
Have you seen the prototype uniforms they revealed last week?
Yes, it is.
Oh yes,
something that on paper should be really cool, and in actual reality is the lamest, weirdest thing you've ever seen. So
the future of war is in space, though, at least according to the press release. What's up, Genevieve?
Do you guys know it's an old, I think it's a late 70s film, Megaforce? Anybody heard of Megaforce? All right. Well, every time I hear about Space Force, my mind automatically goes to Megaforce. It was basically this action film, like this action sci-fi film that was supposed to like sell a lot of toys. The studio linked up with Mattel and they made a bunch of toys off of it. And it's a bunch of dudes like from different nationalities in tan jumpsuits from the 70s, and they rode on like dirt bikes that also had like colored fog coming out the back of them as they like rode together, and it was basically Team America World Police. And Team America World Police was actually they were inspired by this movie Space Force, because it was a world police, like not Space Force, Megaforce was basically a world police thing, and it is hot garbage. The movie is just terrible. It had its own like little rock ballad to go with it. If you guys have a chance, definitely look it up, because it was one of those things that was it was birthed out of the popularity of Has Many Things Were, right. Star Wars and Star Trek. And it was a huge failure. It was a big risk on the studio's part, and it wasn't serious enough to land with adults, and it wasn't kiddie enough to land with the children.
Yeah.
So it just kind of sat there in this liminal space where it was too lame for wider audiences to like it, but then not like childish enough for kids to grab onto it and want to buy the toys.
I mean, it came out arguably on like one of the greatest years of cinema in 1982 with Wrath of Khan. I mean, Tron, The Thing. There's so many. This is like Blade Runner, like considered like the greatest year for film, and it came out there and had Barry Bostwick in it, which is like crazy.
Yes, it did. I do want to mention that Megaforce actually was made by the same people who made Blade Runner. So it's not like it was nobody's.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like they couldn't land a film or make something that was, impressive. It just happened that they kind of went into, they linked with Mattel right off the bat. So they went into the project with the wrong reasons. They wanted to capitalize off of toys and stuff, but they couldn't make a Transformers, they couldn't make a Star Wars, and it just didn't. So that's some hot garbage if you guys wanted to look that up.
Then let's dive into the hot garbage that we hate, but then let's dive into the hot garbage that we love.
I have a perfect segue.
Yes, please, Morgana. Please segue us.
Okay, because you were mentioning for this one the failure of kind of not quite being mature enough for adults and not quite being child friendly enough for kids, and the failing of the merchandise. So when I was a kid, I had a favorite film franchise series that I was absolutely obsessed with. And this was a film series that did kind of fail to get real serious attention for being a real horror film from horror aficionados. It was very much like a D-grade horror film, but had all the elements that would appeal to children, and that was the Puppet Master series.
Ooh.
When I was a young kid and was watching Sci-Fi Channel, where they would have like the edited for TV versions of this film, I came across Puppet Master 3, which has like just an absolutely insane plot. So Puppet Master 3, Toulon's Revenge, which was the one I started with in the Puppet Master franchise, is about it like takes place during World War II in Europe. And a Jewish puppeteer named Andre Toulon has figured out how to take the life essence of friends of his who had been killed by the Nazis and place them inside of these sculpted wooden puppets that he creates.
That is so
initially it's dark as hell. So he gets them, and initially he's like, everyone's amazed by these puppet shows that he's able to put on, in which there's like stringless puppets that he has, right? But it turns out that they're all friends of his. So they're all friends of his. He's like entered into this, right? But then he designs them, gives them like the ability to get revenge and like send them off and get their revenge on the
Nazi killing puppets.
Yeah, they're Nazi killing puppets. And they have like, so you can see behind me, like I got my background going.
Yes.
Oh my God, chef's kiss.
Films.
Nazi killing puppets.
Yeah, there's like Blade is like a legendary like puppet from this. Is like the most iconic. You have like Jester, Leech Woman, Tunneler, Pinhead, like all these different characters.
Wow.
And as a kid, when they took out like the stuff that was in the original film for TV, like the nudity and sex, because that's really bad for kids to see. But
right. But the violence and
who has a drill on his head, drilling through a Nazi's skull, is exactly what I needed as a 7-year-old child.
The formative years.
The formative years.
Sex bad. Drilling a brain is okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Sex and violence.
Thank you, Motion Picture Association. I blame the parents who were like, who was that organization that was like was it Reagan's wife who was like doing all the crazy?
Oh yeah, Nancy Reagan.
Nancy, who was like everything is evil.
But it's always compared with like, the dangers of sex and violence. It's like, we did away with sex entirely so that children are terrified of ever having it. But violence, still grade A American,
that's wholesome fun. Okay.
But so
we are a very prudish society here.
Completely. So that was the one that introduced me to the next 2 films that take place in modern day, like Puppet Master 4 and 5, in which like a young college student who's like moves into this mansion finds Toulon's chest that has the puppets with his puppets in it. And the plot develops where that like set like these demons are sent to Earth to like these little demons are sent to Earth to like steal Toulon's ideas. But this young college student discovers the puppets and becomes best friends with them. So for a kid watching this, is just like, this guy finds the puppets, becomes best friends with them, and then has to fight off these little demon puppets. So again, this is not a child's film in any way. It's extremely gory. Like, you're seeing tendons get slit and people's heads getting drilled through, and leeches getting dropped, like all this terrifying stuff. But it also hits all the notes that as a young child I became obsessed with. And the thing that the movies and the franchise and like Pullman Pictures was really good at was the merchandise. The merchandise they released, not only a toy for every single one of these characters, but like 50 paint variants of these characters. So it's like, the silver edition Tunneler, the gold edition, the German blood splattered one, the Japanese import one. Like, I begged my father to take me to like Dark Delicacies as a child, or like these different comic book stores, because I needed the toys. I needed to have all of the Puppet Master toys. So because of that, I have this fondness for this. Absolute like D-level sci-fi original level movies, and I became just ridiculously obsessed with them. And now that I'm in the effects industry, I was able to upgrade. So now instead of having the action figures, I have like I have pulls of like the puppet. So
awesome.
I mean, at the end of the day, it was a story of friendship. So
and killing Nazis.
And
who doesn't love killing
everything?
Nazis?
Well, I was very disappointed because apparently, like in the first and second one, they're evil. They're like the villains. It wasn't until like the third, fourth, and fifth one is when they become like good guys who are like buddies with the Puppet Master. So again, as a kid, I just wanted these killer puppets.
You just wanted these killer puppets.
I wanted these killer puppets to be my buddies. That's what I wanted.
Okay. Tyler, hit us.
Insane. There are 14 movies in that franchise, by the way. I don't know if you're aware of this.
Oh no, I know. They just kept it going.
Yeah. And like retro. I was trying to remember. I was like, which one is Greg Sestero in? And it's the retro one. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, of The Room fame, Greg
Yes.
Sestero had like a starring role in one of the Puppet Master films.
Wow.
So of course there are movies like Plan 9 from Outer Space and I love The Room. Those are two I think.
Oh my
movies
God,
watch
I
over and
could
over and over
barely
again.
stomach getting through The Room.
I've seen The Room in theaters I think 10 times.
Why do you give them money? Because it makes me sad for all of us struggling filmmakers who can't get financing for our projects to see like this guy just had all this money and just.
I know. I mean, I saw him at the Alamo Drafthouse in Texas, so we would always have like, it's an event, there's like with the games and everything.
I was gonna say at this point it's a
spoons at
drinking
each other.
game. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like,
Have you considered funding your film by being a mysterious Eastern European?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Yeah. Who thinks he's a vampire?
That's what I need to do.
You have to think you're a vampire and you have to wear at least 5 belts, is what I was told.
Yeah. 5 belts? Okay.
5 belts.
And have pointless gratuitous nudity. Apparently that's a thing too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
she got paid like $50 for that.
And don't give your crew water. Like, yeah.
Right.
The less said about Tommy Wiseau's body in that scene, the better.
Yeah. So sorry. But
continue, Tyler.
As much as the Puppet Master movies are hilarious and cool and fun to watch, the movie that I love very much is not anything like the Puppet Master. We had this old show called Pop Moses Film where we talked about film, and I picked this movie because I genuinely love it and watch it very often. And ever since it came out, I was in absolute love with it. There's a movie called Josie and the Pussycats.
Yes. Okay.
A movie that is making fun of commercialism by just utilizing it and breaking the fourth wall constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's also made a shit ton of merch.
Yes. Well, the funny thing is the whole movie is full of I don't know if you guys know this, but the movie is full of product placement. The funny thing is none of the companies paid for it, and a lot of them try to sue them for using it and then they were like, no, it's parody. Like, so like Pepsi tried suing them. Every single scene, there's always like a billboard or something, or somebody's drinking something. And the funny thing is that in actuality, none of them were paid or supposed to be in that movie. So so it was made in Canada, and then parody laws. And so it was like all this stuff, but there was like 5 major companies that just tried to sue them after this movie came out, being like, you were making fun of our products.
Yeah.
Actually. But
so is that why you love it? Like, why do you love it?
I love Parker Posey like so much. And it also, like, of course I didn't know this at the time, but it gave us one of my absolute favorite actresses, Rosario Dawson, because of that film. I also had, like, when I was a kid, when I was younger, I had the biggest crush on Rachel Leigh Cook since Tom and Huck. So I was like, oh yeah, it's like, so I don't know if anybody remember that Disney movie. That was a weird one. But Alan Cumming's character as well, he kind of taught me.
I'll watch him in anything.
Yeah, but his character, like, I feel like kind of solidified what kind of dry wit comedy, because he's the only one that is like deadpan the entire time, and like made me love and appreciate like so much like more comedy than like, oh, I'm wacky. Like, because I was younger at that time. I was like 11 years old when the movie came out. So at that time, I'm like, Adam Sandler equals only equals comedy. Robin Williams equals comedy. But like Alan Cumming in this movie basically was like, oh, there's like a whole other like way of being funny by not being funny. And so like
he excels at that too. He does that in a lot of his stuff.
Oh God, like he's so good in this movie. But also Missy Pyle is like one of my favorite things, and like still today, one of my favorite jokes in this movie was because Missy Pyle's character is in the movie and they barely give her anything to do, and there's a joke where they call her out. They go, "Why are you here?" She goes, "Because I'm in the comics." That's her line. And it's like it's just like, it's like she shouldn't have been in that movie, but like that joke itself is like, I'm like, this would not have been a good movie without that joke and without Missy Pyle. So like, it's just like so many of my favorite actors together in a movie making fun of capitalism, which I will always be for. And then like, it's just, it's so perfect. I love this film. I legitimately
Seth Green has a great moment at the beginning of the film too.
He does. And he had
like,
zero interest
like
in
him
return.
And Breckenmeyer and like people like that, right?
Yes. Yeah, they're only in the beginning of the movie, and then the end they got people to play them in full in full body casts because I couldn't afford to bring them back. And like the other thing, like one of my other favorite things that we talked about on the podcast was like their big thing was like big cameo guest Eugene Levy. like your big cameos, Eugene Levy's like my favorite thing in the world.
Eugene Levy is like,
I love him.
You've got to bring the kids in. You've got to bring the youth into the film, and no one's gonna bring the kids in like Eugene Levy.
Yes.
Dude, but I grew up with like Eugene Levy's humor because like, you know, my dad was big because he was in a lot of the John Candy movies. And so it's like Splash and, you know, and obviously now we all have Schitt's Creek, but it's like, he was so big in the 80s and 90s that like, for the people who made the film, like they probably grew up loving Eugene Levy.
Oh, well, my family loved like the A Mighty Wind and Best in Show and like all
Waiting
those.
for Guffman is just
all
perfection.
Those shows are so good.
The fact that Meryl Streep's favorite movie is Waiting for Guffman makes me so happy. I'm just like, so awesome. I love that movie.
So the interesting thing about Josie and the Pussycats is actually kind of it's gone the opposite route as some of the other garbage films that were like good at the time and became garbage. Josie and the Pussycats, I feel, is along the lines of films that didn't get enough credit at the time and were considered garbage films at the time that we are now looking back at and being, oh, that's actually a great film that was ahead of its time, that was garbage at the time.
Could you imagine it coming out now with like Amazon and just bashing Amazon like the entirety of it? Like
and another, you know, it reminds me as well of all of the attention, like not only Josie and the Pussycats has gotten, but also Legally Blonde has now been like, you know, that was sort of like kind of a cotton candy garbage sort of comedy film that you thought about.
My dad adores that film.
I love that movie.
He loves Legally Blonde and Miss Congeniality. Like he adores.
Those are both so good.
I love them.
But I think we look back at them now and realize like, oh, those were insanely feminist, progressive films with really strong messages behind them. They weren't just like summer popcorn comedic.
No. Well, and hey, she got a musical out of it and sequels, and we might be getting another one. You know, it's like,
wait, what? Of Miss Congeniality, another one?
No, Legally Blonde. Legally Blonde. No, Miss Congeniality 2 was okay. It wasn't Miss Congeniality 1. Yeah.
I didn't care for Miss Congeniality when I was a kid because, oddly enough, I never liked William Shatner, even though I'm a Trekkie. I'm not a big TOS fan. And so I never liked William Shatner and anything he's ever did. So I didn't, for the longest time, like that movie because William Shatner was in it, which is very sad and pathetic in retrospect. But like, I just didn't like him as a kid because I didn't know what good or bad acting was, but I knew it when I was like, you know, like a kid, like, that's not acting, Daddy. And he's just like, sure, whatever, you're wrong, but okay. Like my dad completely hated it because he tried to get me to love TOS so badly. Just didn't happen.
I couldn't pay attention to William Shatner because I was too busy with Sandra Bullock in that film, giving me a lot of feelings as a child. I was working out.
She is so awesome in that movie.
Oh, I love it. I and you know, we got the, you know, so describe your perfect date. And that is now a thing. Like
yeah.
So Genevieve, what about you?
So I didn't think about it until now, but all the sci-fi talk it just kind of catapulted me back into my childhood when me and my sister were insanely obsessed with cryptids. Like we just had this period in our lives where we needed to learn everything about every cryptid on this planet. Like and cryptids are basically like urban legend animals like the Mothman and Bigfoot, Nessie the Loch Ness Monster. There's a lot of them that are around. There's some very random ones too, and they're very specific to not only the states but the towns that they're in. Like especially I think the Mothman is very popular, but like he used to be just kind of like this little niche thing that not a lot of people know about. The Chupacabra is also another really famous one, but there was this show on Animal Planet, and I don't know why Animal Planet had like late night kind of television, but they had late night shows, and one of them was called Animal X, and it was basically like if you took the X-Files and you took every every person's research on cryptids and put it together, it was basically like Forensic Files, but for cryptids. And so every episode they would go over one cryptid and like what it was, what the legend was, what the evidence is that's out there. Then they'd have like eyewitness reports and things, like people would come on the show. Something in the back of my mind is saying that some of the people that would come on the show were also like blacked out, like, and voice modulated to give their eyewitness accounts. And it was mind-blowingly amazing. And
There's 8 seasons.
I think it only had one. It was either like a 1 to 3 season or like a 1 to 2 season show, but it's Late Night Animal Planet, Animal X.
Okay, this sounds like Animal Planet's answer to Ancient Aliens being on the History Channel.
Yeah, right? Kind of.
Yeah.
It came before, though. Like, it definitely came before. It was one of a kind. I don't know what inspired it other than the fact that they knew that people like on late night TV that they had to have something rather than like reruns of The Crocodile Hunter.
Right.
And I think each show was very short too. I think they were only around like 15 to 20 minutes. So they knew who was watching.
Country of origin, Australia. No, it ran for 8 years.
Did it?
Yeah, they kept making it like every once in a while. Like it would be like 2 or 3 episodes a season or series.
Yeah,
I love this stuff.
It's on Amazon.
It was excellent. Like as a child, cryptids are the closest thing that you get to like real magic, you know, like real life creatures. And I don't know. I really loved them because there's something about the intersection of mystery and just the fact that you kind of like, you know, that these things aren't real, like, but they might be. Ooh, and that's
what's your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
Which cryptid is my favorite? Definitely the Mothman, like hands down. I don't know why, but I'm obsessed with that thing.
I like that, like, the meme of Mothman has, like, Mothman is cool and sexy. He's, like, kind of like the god of cryptids. People love Mothman.
He is like a dark god. He is a dark, sexy god.
One of my
I have seen a lot of... because I was trying to look up like little cryptid stickers that I could put on my water bottle that I take to work, and there are a lot of cryptids out there that are drawn very sexily. And lots of Mothmen with like lady legs and fishnets and red high heels, and I'm like, huh,
Mothman's here for a good time.
It's a choice.
Yeah, exactly.
One of my favorite cryptids is the Fresno Nightcrawlers.
Oh my god, yes!
Literally, the Fresno Nightcrawlers are literally like haunted pants. They literally just look like a whole bunch of like pairs of jeans just took off in the forest, because it's just like these 2 little legs that are running around. But the Fresno Nightcrawlers they're not these cool, crazy looking cryptids.
No,
they're haunted pants.
So, but like if you find the footage of the Fresno Nightcrawlers, they're so graceful too. They like walk very slow. It's like the most famous one, and there's like 2 of them, and they're just like gracefully walking across this field very slowly, and you're like, oh, that's so pretty and so strange looking at the same time.
Just kidding.
But yes, the Fresno Nightcrawler, they're like walking pants. And there's another one out there, I forgot what it's called, but I think they like sexed it female, but it basically has like a light. Its like head is like a light bulb, like one of those old Edison bulbs.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's supposed to be an alien,
or like one of those
can't
weird
remember.
underwater fish.
Like an fish sort of thing, or
no, because it's a creature that is on. It's a land-bound creature. I'm trying to think of what it is. I know their origin is, I believe it's in West Virginia, along with every other cryptid that there ever was. There's a lot of them.
Yeah,
that
West
are on
Virginia
the
is kind of like the place for cryptids. Like, I want to do a cryptid tour out in West Virginia.
Well, I was just there this past weekend. I should have done that, but I was not doing that.
God, if I thought about it.
Guys, I'm leaving the con. I'm gonna go do this instead.
I'm gonna go do cryptids. Bye.
The thing, right? Okay.
Get on the bus.
There should be a cryptid con
I'll be
out
signing autographs out in the swamp somewhere. There's no swamps in West Virginia.
Next to Moth, you're tabling next to
river?
Mothman.
Right.
So, how was your summer?
Cool. Not gonna kill you.
Warm.
I don't know about you. I would be completely stoked to have Mothman's autograph hanging in my house. I would be so
Cryptids
stoked.
are great. So like, yeah, the TV show was trash, but it was about things that were amazing. I love these things. And I love, they're not real, but you're fascinated about like what type of evidence people have and like the convictions of some of these like eyewitness accounts. And you're like, well, it could have been something. Like, I like the mystery. I like the ability to say like, well, it could have been something.
Yeah.
Well, that's like the same sort of deal as Ancient Aliens, where it's on the History Channel as not history, but what if it was history? And
we can't say it is or it isn't.
No, so my roommate for like at least about a month now, because there's so many episodes of it, has just been hate watching ancient history, like alien history or Ancient Aliens or whatever. There's so many episodes of it that she'll just have it on all night, and she'll wake up in the morning because she's Australian Aboriginal, so they love on that show to claim that everything the Aboriginals did in Australia was aliens. And then like she's just cracking up because they just get everything so unbelievably wrong on
way to
show.
Go History Channel.
But it's just like, you have the dude with the crazy hair, the Sucralose guy who's like the meme, the aliens guy meme. But there's that's very much along the lines of so many shows that are popular because the thing in them doesn't exist and they have no proof of it. It's like it's like with the cryptid show, it is along with every paranormal investigation show.
I love watching Ghost Adventures, even though like I also like the meme makes it better too. It was like Ghost Adventures is just four bros yelling at ghosts, and then when they square up, they run away and cry. I'm like, it's so accurate.
It's amazing to me how many series exist and how many episodes of those series are completely based around people not finding ghosts.
Yeah.
Yes, because believe me, if one of them found a ghost, it'd be a very different world we're living in right now. But we have a bunch of series in which the entire premise is they don't find ghosts.
Yeah.
But maybe there was a
man,
ghost.
are they looking?
We just didn't see it that night.
They're looking really hard, you guys. They're trying.
The Paranormal Activity shows also, like, I also watched those religiously as a kid, and not because I thought they were going to find a ghost. No, I don't know what it is about like these, and it's not these like investigative shows where I think it's the suspense. Like they do a good job of building up like the suspense and the story and like the lore, and then they go into like the evidence and all that sort of stuff. They're very good at piecing together a narrative that they're trying to sell you as the audience. Like they're very addictive, but yes, they are trash. And some of the stuff like Morgana was talking about, like the Ancient Alien stuff actually makes me quite upset. Like I don't like the Ancient Aliens things because of the exact same reasons why you listed, is that a lot of the times that most of the cultures that they choose to gravitate towards to explain humans doing amazing feats are, you know, minority cultures or, you know, PSC cultures.
Oh yeah, like the Aztecs had to have gotten their calendar from aliens. They couldn't have just been smart enough to figure it out themselves. Like,
and so
weird.
It's weird stuff. It's weird shows like that I believe have the capacity to cause harm because there's definite erasure there. But like, no, cryptids aren't harming anybody. Everybody's having a good fun time with cryptids. Like,
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you say that now, but Mothman's sitting at home like none of this happened, and their facts are completely off. So, did you even take Mothman into consideration when promoting the show?
I mean, I'm so scared of the chupacabra. I'm not gonna lie. Like that thing is like just the idea of chupacabra being this like this little thing you can't see. I don't know. That was
in the X-Files. That was in Heroes. They keep bringing Chupacabra back. Yeah.
Like that's the only one that I actually would like. I'm scared of. The other ones are like big creatures. They're just like, oh, you're probably just misunderstood. The chupacabra, like this little tiny thing that just like rolls in a ball and just like with teeth, and you're just like, oh god, it's like no.
That thing is harmful. Whereas Mothman's trying to warn you against danger, which I think is very nice of him. Actually, like he's prophesying, and everybody's just like, nah, you're too weird and creepy. I'm not gonna believe. What are you doing? Go away. Well, like, no, maybe you should listen to this dude.
What's the deer skinwalkers? The skinwalkers are just telling you, hey, don't stare. You know, like just don't stare at people.
It's rude.
It's rude. What's wrong with you?
Chupacabras are definitely scary. Wendigos, now those are terrifying. Terrifying. But we got off on a cryptid. I shot us off to the moon with a cryptid sidetrack. Lindsay, why don't you tell us? What did you bring tonight?
I was gonna go with 1995's Mortal Kombat, but now I'm thinking it's not trashy enough. So like this movie, I loved this movie. This movie got me through college. When I needed to brain dump, I would come back to my dorm room and I would just play this because I love the music. The fight sequences were great. It was true to the video games. I will still say George S. Clinton's score to this movie stands up to this day. Spot on.
100%.
Every fucking cheerleading squad and flag squad and pep squad did routines to the Mortal Kombat theme song ad nauseum for like the next 5-10 years. It was a great movie, but now I'm thinking it's not bad enough for everything that we've been talking about. So I'm going to have to say, I'm almost embarrassed to say this. I'm going to have to go with this.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Mortal Kombat 2021.
No. I'm going to go with this.
What is happening here?
Wait, I see a lot of lip liner.
It is not barbed wire. So Pamela Anderson had a show that ran for 4 seasons from 98 to 2002 called VIP.
Oh my god, I remember those commercials.
It was on, well, at least where I was, it was AKA Valerie Irons Protection. It was on like super late at night. I think I was like, for whatever, wasn't sleeping and was like scrolling through television channels and like came across a bunch of chicks like shooting guns and beating up bad guys. I was like, what is this? And I was like, Pamela Anderson. I never watched Baywatch. Like I knew her from, Home Improvement, but not Baywatch or anything. And for whatever reason, I got hooked on this show because there's nothing to it. Like she's like this, like she accidentally saves a celebrity, like, and then is hired to be a bodyguard and then starts her own bodyguard agency, but hires people who actually know what they're doing. And so like, they're like former KGB and CIA and FBI people. But like, I was obsessed with the chick, Nikki, who's the one that's got like, right there, the gun.
We're all obsessed with that one.
They show her like, she's super buff. Like, I guess she was like a fitness person or something before she was casted. Like all these actors are retired now, but she was like super buff and like beating people up. And I was like, this is kind of cool. So I was like, you're kind of being sexually exploitative, but it's also chicks beating the shit out of people. So I'm kind of on board.
all of the 90s and early 2010s. Like
but it's like, but they also didn't take themselves too seriously. Like it was a dramedy. Like it was not like, we are not trying to be like NCIS or whatever. There was a lot of humor in it too. And like, I don't know. I just got hooked on VIP, and I did see Barbed Wire. Barbed Wire was not that horrible. You know what? Love her or hate her. There's a movie being made about her. Pamela Anderson.
I am so distracted.
So they're still earning residuals off of this show. So there you go.
I am so distracted by like the quintessential 90s hair.
Oh my God, right? Look at this.
Eyebrows. Look at those eyebrows.
But also the frosted lipstick.
Yeah, the frosted lips.
With the liner, with the heavy liner and frosted lips.
Yeah.
The overdrawn.
Yeah, and this chick was like a former model or something, like in real life. But yeah, I was like, yeah, but it was like the fight sequences actually were not that bad. Like the guy, he was an actual like martial artist, you know? So like the fight sequences weren't horrible. And like, I think if it had tried to actually take itself seriously and be like, we are actually like an elite body, you know,
Fox Force 5
I would have been like, meh. But because they were like able to laugh at themselves, I don't know. I watched it at like 1 o'clock in the morning when I was pulling all-nighters for school. So.
It seems like a Charlie's Angels almost, but with more leather jackets and what year it looks fun.
What year did the rebooted Charlie's Angels come out? When was that? Because I was also obsessed with that movie. I enjoyed that movie.
Wait, like which reboot?
With Lucy Liu and Drew Barrymore and Cameron Diaz.
I feel like that was 2001.
So that would have been around this.
Yeah, it's early 2000s. Let me look at it.
I actually had those action figures. I had the Charlie's action figures from that movie.
I gotta say,
I was kind of in a phase of like, I'll watch anything if it's women beating up guys. I think I might have had a problem, but I don't know. That's just kind of what I was watching.
Yeah,
2003. Tyler, did you guess 2003?
You said 2001. Close enough.
Okay, it's 2003. That's why I like
Sonya Blake. Close. You know, she was always beating.
So almost there.
Lucy Liu in that movie, just so good. And Cameron Diaz.
Cameron Diaz was good. She was funny before she, she retired obviously pretty soon after that, but she was really funny in that movie.
Wait, what did you say? Did you say what?
She retired pretty soon after that.
I thought you said she got murdered. I was like, wait, what?
No.
I know. That's why I was just like, wait, what just happened? Like, is this like one of those, what that Beatle, what's his name? Paul McCartney thing where they think Paul's dead? Like this guy's a replacement.
Yeah. So we've got
Cameron Diaz really died in 2004. The one we know now is actually
creepy Nazi killing puppets. We've got girl bands. We've got
capitalism,
made up creepy stuff that makes
cryptids
you scared of the dark, and overplucked eyebrows and frosted tips.
That look can come back. It can come back. We can bring it back.
I mean, I feel like it's already kind of coming back. Like
okay,
this, like her Nikki's here. Like I see that nowadays. Like, That's hey, you know what? With the
that's called the Tinkerbell one, right?
Well, with the Pam Anderson movie coming out, let's just see if that style makes a comeback. Let's just see.
Everything comes back around in a more polished kind of way.
Yeah.
Like, I just remember breakage bangs being like, you sprayed those in like you wanted people to see your breakage bangs because of your highlights, and you're just like, here they are. Oh, here's a whole bunch of them back in my ponytail as well. Like, just check them out. So there's gonna be like, it's the middle part right now, and then just like the smooth shocks of hair. But I feel like we will come back around to highlights and breakage bangs. Well, in some way.
Like the long hair for guys from the 70s comes back, I'm a little SOL because I'm like half my head is now hairless at this point. So
I can't tell you how many of my male coworkers have come back with extremely long hair because of the panoramic.
Dude, the man bun has been a thing in LA and San Francisco for like
I'm just saying on my head it wouldn't work because it's like, I mean, look at this crater. I mean, I can't, if I had long hair, it would just look weird. I'm like, no, it's just shame.
So do we have any other trashy things that we love? I mean, do we need to discuss, like, is there something wrong with us for loving it?
No.
We love Citizen Kane and the X-Files and still love Mothman and creepy puppets
here's the thing. I do not believe in the term guilty pleasures. I do not believe that any pleasures should be guilty unless they're literally hurting somebody or they're illegal or bad for you or something like that. But as far as media that you can take in, no, nothing should be a guilty pleasure if you enjoy it. If it is entertaining you, it is serving its purpose. It shouldn't be guilty unless it's like extremely problematic or hurting somebody. Like guilty pleasure, like the idea of guilty pleasures is just bad. So
like yours obviously had 14 movies, so that somebody's watching them. This
we're not saying that it's deserved, and like the budget is like $25.
The award-winning shows have been canceled after one season, and this thing had 4, so I wasn't the only one watching it.
I mean, you guys say that, but I also like the Green Lantern movie. I feel like that hurt a lot of people. There we go.
Dude, you've been disinvited to the show.
I feel like that one's a guilty pleasure. I feel like I can rightfully say.
You know what? Okay, all right. I think we should get into more popular stuff. I mean, because all of our stuff that we just listed is very fringe, and everybody's got like this fringe thing that they just love. For me personally, and this really hurts me to say because I bitch about the Disney live action films all the time, like ad nauseum, and everybody is tired of hearing about it. But I did enjoy Maleficent.
I loved Maleficent.
I loved it too.
Dude, hold on. When she wakes up on her wings, I cried.
Well, I mean, and that's kind of the thing is like there is some very touching like moments and some very like emotional things that really landed. And I think it is also the reason why I like it a lot is for that reason, but also it's very unashamedly female. Like, and we don't get that much media that is not like a rom-com that is just so unashamedly like female and feminine. And I really like that about the first Maleficent. I think the first Maleficent is actually a solid movie. Like it's not a bad movie. No. It's a good movie. It's not like high art. It's, not the best movie. But my confession comes in where the other day I was like, hey, I have a Disney Plus account. Why don't I turn on Maleficent 2, The Mistress of Evil? And
I also watched that in theaters.
I didn't hate it.
I did not hate it either. I didn't hate it.
I might have enjoyed myself in certain parts. And I'm just like,
Imelda Stanton is hilarious. So you know what? She can be my fairy godmother anytime. Well, not fairy godmother.
Well, that, and I just, when I was watching it, I'm like, there's so many parts that are cringe, but it's also so self-aware, oddly self-aware, strangely self-aware, and not to the point where it's like pointing out flaws in its own story or pointing out flaws in the media that came before it, the original Sleeping Beauty. But to where like you'll have people like, doing that like sort of like wink to the camera, especially with the Queen, when there's a moment where Prince Stefan asks if like the Queen will try and kiss the king to wake him up from his like deathly sleep. And she's just like, I don't think that's gonna work. Yeah. I'd rather not, because it's a loveless marriage. And I thought that was quite funny. But there are just moments in it that I'm like, oh, this is that's
why I'll go back to Mortal Kombat, and I will stand by the original Mortal Kombat, because you know what? It was kind of the same thing. It's like, you know what? We're making a video game movie.
Yeah.
That's what we're making. If you play Mortal Kombat, you're going to enjoy this movie, at least not as bloody. And that was one of the critiques it got. It wasn't bloody enough, which obviously the reboot in 2021 made up for that. But I was like, you know what? It's the characters that, they're doing the moves that they do in the game. They're saying the same lines that they do in the game. And, and again, the fight sequences were pretty good.
It's also, it is continued to be beloved. I don't know a lot of people who shit talk Mortal Kombat. Like people who talk about the Mortal Kombat film are like, that film was awesome. And like you said, like the Mortal Kombat theme song from that film could literally be played at any club and have the club just throw down on it.
4 different versions of it on my iPod. And like the score to this movie was so good. I still listen to it to this day. Like it is solid.
I have the music as well. I used to study to it. Actually,
Raiden was a little cringe, but whatever. I don't know. I've seen this.
You could drop it at a synth club, like a normie sort of house music club. There could be like a goth industrial club in which you're playing like all these goth industrial bands. No one will complain if you just drop the Mortal Kombat theme song in the middle.
Everybody knows it, to the point where with the reboot, they even decided they had to redo and keep the same theme song. They changed it up, but because it's so iconic now, it is part of pop culture that they had to keep the same theme song in the 2021 movie.
It's like the Moby Born Identity song. Nobody knows the name, but we all know the song.
Right.
And it's gotten I think it's gotten 4 or 5 revamps for each new movie that came out. And we're like, it was so iconic. That Moby song was so iconic that they're just they're like, well, we have to keep using it. We have to keep using it.
Well, then on that note, any last words to add about things we love, hate, love to hate, hate to love?
I don't like rom-coms.
You don't. I do not like rom-coms either, Tyler.
There is one that I do like that nobody likes. It's called America's Sweethearts with Catherine Zeta-Jones, John Cusack, Billy.
I remember seeing the posters for that movie.
Julia Roberts is in it as well. Like it is an all-star cast, and overall the movie's not great, but there are so many great jokes that lie in the movie that I love. And it's like Rainn Wilson is in that movie for a small. Like there's so many people whose career blew up from that movie alone. Like it's insane. Like all these small characters are just now really big actors nowadays. So it's just, but like Hank Azaria I think is hilarious in that movie in his really stupid role. And then I think Catherine Zeta-Jones doing just essentially making fun of herself. It's it's actually really genuine and hilarious. And I don't think a lot of people talked about just John Cusack around that movie, but I think she was absolutely the best person in that film. I thought she was hilarious and just having a blast making fun of herself.
I'm glad you brought up Hank Azaria because I was going to bring up another film that I absolutely love that is just a batshit crazy clusterfuck of a film. And that is Mystery Men.
Oh god.
Mystery Men is one of my favorite weird superhero films ever. It is the plot is insanity. It is such you threw a superhero film script in a blender to get this film. But the cast is amazing. It's got Janine Garofalo, Hank Azaria, William H. Macy, Eddie Izzard is in
that cast could carry
Eddie
anything.
Is so awesome in that movie.
Yeah. Oh, I love all those guys.
I think Tom Waits is in it. Isn't Tom Waits in it?
Yes. Yeah, he's Hellman. Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally the most random and wonderful collection of character actors that you can shove in a superhero film for actors who would not otherwise be in a superhero franchise. But Hank Azaria plays the Blue Raja who throws silverware, and Janine Garofalo has a bowling ball that has her father's skull in it that is haunted, and the whole thing is insane. It's absolutely insane, but it is so good.
Jeffrey Rush, that's Jeffrey Rush's best character and always will be to me.
I forgot.
Casanova Frankenstein.
That's right.
Oh, I love that movie so much. I just talked about that movie last week in a recording of Most Extreme Ranking Challenge.
I love that.
Kel Mitchell from Kenan and Kel like had one big movie he did after that, and that was in this. He's wonderfully endearing and should have done more, but he's great in it as well. It's just it is Paul Rubens as
Greg Kinnear. Oh man,
Spleen,
wow. That is
playing like this weird character called Spleen in this. It's all just a wonderful, wonderful film. And on every film snob critic level, this would be considered garbage, but it's very much the sort of thing that has a very low critic score and an extremely high viewership score.
Yes.
Because I don't know a lot of people who have seen this film who don't love it.
Yeah.
It's absolutely one of my favorite films. And Greg Kinnear is Captain Amazing. It's like my favorite.
Oh my gosh. Well, guys, let us know what your favorite trashy movie or film or TV show or whatever is in the comments, because we would love to know, and we're going to have to add it to our list of things to watch, apparently. And yeah, we'd definitely love to know what you guys think and what you think of our choices as well. Please let us know in the comments.
What's your favorite cryptid?
That too.
So thank you guys for joining us. We are so lucky to have you, Tyler and Morgana. You guys are always a delight. And thank you to our audience for joining us. We always appreciate you tuning in. If you're first timers or you haven't yet subscribed, please click the subscribe button, ring that bell so you get notifications every time that we update. We update every Friday at noon Pacific time. And that's my spiel.
Yay!
Tell us your favorite cryptid and your favorite weird franchise down below. All right. And we will see you next week with another amazing show. Bye everybody.